Hot and humid in Tampa as Power 5 goes on the road against Group of 5. Georgia Tech and South Florida meet for the first time, and a familiar face at the helm of the Bulls. The former #1 quarterback out of high school at his third destination makes career start #3. And the three of us are happy to welcome you to Tampa. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick as well. An interesting spot, third destination for Blake Barnett.
Yeah, and the question is, how good is he now? I mean, we know he was elite coming out of high school. He was the Alabama starter for about that long. Last week, he was great against Elon, but it was Elon. He steps up today with Georgia Tech, and we'll see if he throws a great deep ball today as he did last week.
And Q, Charlie Strong and this Bulls offense has to, or defense has to deal with that flex bone offense of Georgia Tech.
Stopping the triple option, preparing for it, it's like going to the dentist 5 days in a row. Charlie Strong this week. Obviously, you emphasize assignment football. They played for 3 days without a ball. Stop the dive, the quarterback keep the pitch, deal with cut blocks, and then play action. There's a lot on this plate.
Georgia Tech out of the Power 5 in the Atlantic Coast Conference, coming on the road where they have struggled these last 3 seasons, taking on a Group of 5 team in South Florida, coming off a double-digit win campaign. South Florida won the toss and elected to receive. Terrence Horn and D'Angelo Antoine back to return for the Bulls. Sean Davis will get us going. Terrence Horn, the freshman. And the speedster chopped down just shy of the 30-yard line. So here comes the 22-year-old Blake Barnett, announced as the starter 10 days ago after Charlie Strong pulled every member of his defensive staff first. He's got dreams of playing in the NFL, but I think he's got something else on his mind first. That is Brooks Archer Barnett.
What do we do with the football? We get it. And we eat it.
That little guy is going to turn 6 months old on Wednesday. He and Blake's wife, Maddie, are in attendance today. First run of the game belongs to Jordan Cronkrite. The transfer from Florida picks up 14, his first carry as a Bull.
I don't think Blake Barnett's going to eat the football a lot. He may throw it a lot.
Yeah, he didn't eat it there. He slings it out to Tyree McCants on the screen, and he works to the 45 of Georgia Tech.
You know, you saw the picture of Brooks, and you can't help but notice that with a wife and a kid now, he's a much more mature guy than he was back at Alabama.
Barnett throws an interception. Tariq Carpenter picks him off. The first pick of the sophomore's career.
And that is a case of the quarterback not seeing the underneath coverage. He assumes that there's no one lurking in that curl flat area, and sure enough, there is. I mean, he's staring down his guy, and again, we talked about playing Elon last week, and then a more complicated defense in Georgia Tech this week, and he just misread that.
His first interception as a South Florida Bull, and just like that, Georgia Tech and this spread option offense take over, with their quarterback TaQuon Marshall getting shut down by Kevin Kegler. TaQuon Marshall, his professional future, he says, is taking one of our jobs.
Yours, man. It's pretty sad.
And his NFL future, you think, is more as a wideout. And initially, that's where he thought his best chance to play football would be.
He's just a tremendous young man, a leader at this team. People are drawn to him by his personality.
Counter play, Marshall. Tackled past the 40-yard line. Brought down by Khalid McGee. Third down.
And we're talking about Marshall being the heartbeat of this team. This is a guy who really has sacrificed to be the quarterback here. I mean, he came in and as a freshman was a running back, and they moved him last season.
This was a guy who needed to move to quarterback. This was a spot that was open in Paul Johnson's offense. and Marshall rewarded him with a very impressive season last year. And he has a man for a first down. Quay Searcy, one of his running backs, picks up the first down with an 18-yard catch.
And he's underrated as a passer. I mean, he delivers a really nice ball here, half roll, and this is spot on. He had a receiver short, had one deep, gets it to Searcy. That's well done.
Marshall is known more for his running ability. Set a Georgia Tech rushing record for a quarterback last year with 1,146 yards. And he did that in just 11 games a season ago. He'll pitch it to Benson.
TaQuon is very judgmental of his own performance. He said he's a critic. He's his harshest critic. And last week his accuracy was not on target. That throw right there, in rhythm, great balance, follow through. It was right on the money. That's a great start for a quarterback who's admitted having confidence issues a week ago.
Well, Q, he should be fairly confident right now with the throwing game starting off pretty well and speed option. Right now, this option is driving you crazy.
Yep. Benson has the first down into the red zone for Georgia Tech.
Now, Georgia Tech wants to control the clock, control the football. They want to run about 60 plays or so, keep South Florida's offense off the field. That guy, Paul Johnson, is a savant when it comes to the option. He doesn't need a play call sheet. He just watches the game and he makes his adjustments.
Marshall keeps. And a good run on first down.
Hey, Adam, this is why you are seeing Georgia Tech run to the outside. That's a 3-4 with your defensive ends shaded inside. So they're trying to take away the dive back and make sure that Georgia Tech doesn't run inside. So Paul Johnson sees that and he goes, outside's open. We're going outside.
Charlie Strong said key number one, take away the dive. That's typically what the running back right behind the quarterback is going to look for. Pitch to Benson, and he gets swallowed up. Jamon Thomas got into the backfield first, and the rest of the Bulls were able to rally. Third down.
You know, third down typically means nothing to Paul Johnson. He's not afraid to run his option on third down. He's not afraid to go for it on fourth down. So this really could be a two-down situation for him. He doesn't have an awful lot of confidence in his kicking game.
What was that whole thing? Gave the play to the running back, and then the running back brings it in, and they huddle up, and they talk about it. It's old school.
It's old school.
3rd and 7. Marshall swallowed up. Charlie Strong's defense rock solid. Greg Reeves and Kevin Bronson in the backfield.
Yeah, using that speed, being aggressive, attacking with a little blitz there. You know, and this defense is undersized, and using that speed makes sense for them.
So Brenton King is on for the field goal. Missed a 50-yard try last week after replacing Sean Davis. The kicking game has been an adventure in the early part of the season and into fall camp. But Georgia Tech is on the board first with the King field goal. Blake Barnett in his 3rd career start, and set to take the field again. An interception on his first series leads to a Georgia Tech field goal. First meeting between these two programs. Georgia Tech has been around for 126 years. South Florida for 22. Terrence Horn, the freshman, breaking free. There is a flag back at the 12, but Terrence Horn, the freshman out of Florida, the sprint champ, takes it home. 'Cause 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 'Cause
during the return. Personal foul, face mask, kicking team number 41.
No.
15-yard penalty will be enforced in the kickoff. Result will play.
All good. How about that? It is the most exciting play in college football, the kickoff. Also the most dangerous, but hey, the most exciting. And that is a huge hole, and once Horn is in it, forget about it, because again, you're talking about a guy who in the state of Florida was as fast as anybody coming out of high school.
Zamari Walton with the face mask penalty. That'll be enforced on the kickoff. Kobe Weiss is kicking today for South Florida for the ill Jake Vivinetto. Just like that, the Bulls take the lead. And the Pac-12 offers came in for Terrence Horn, a kid who's got Olympic dreams for 2020. How about a 10-2 900-meter dash and a touchdown on the kick? Just a quick jaunt away from the water here in Tampa. Terrence Horn, first South Florida kick return for a touchdown since Rodney Adams did it on the road against Navy 3 seasons ago. 7-3.
I know you've been watching the U.S. Open.
Yep.
So Georgia Tech, maybe big rallies there, and then just an ace served by Horn.
Some ground strokes
that works.
Trying to wear you down. That's Georgia Tech. South Florida just hit a 135-mile-an-hour shot, which ended in a field goal on the last trip. Benson runs right into Khalid McGee. A hard hit, but a 6-yard gain on first down.
Now, Q is right about the feedback, and that offensive line will tell Johnson honestly whether they can block somebody or whether they need to switch up their tactics or so. And Johnson told us yesterday that feedback is critical, and he incorporates that into his planning as the game goes along.
Pitch to Cottrell, and Cottrell has the first down. Georgia Tech works to the 38-yard line. So Paul Johnson,
speaking of
this option.
Yeah, look at the way those offensive linemen come off the ball, and that they cut and they actually crawl to make sure that they get rid of the defensive line. And right now, they're working on the outside because South Florida, as we talked about earlier, is so focused inside.
Benson, another good run into South Florida territory. 16 yards there. Gervonta Benson, a second-team ACC performer a year ago, got tripped up on the turf, and then watch Mike Hampton taking him out at the legs. That's a hard hit. It's
a hard hit. It's a clean hit.
Yes.
But it's certainly it's hard to watch. It looks like that's a left knee issue.
Jordan Mason has checked in at that B-back position. Marshall bobbled, controlled, and got back to the line of scrimmage. Kirk Livingstone was there to shut it down.
Yeah, Charlie Strong has dialed up the pressure for his defense, moving his line, slanting them, attacking the gaps to get to Marshall and that option game. Now, remember, this is not a triple option offense.
Right.
The triple option is one part of it. They run 6, 7, 8 different types of options, and the triple option is just the most prominent that people, focus on.
About a quarter of the time or so, they run the triple option set. Counter play here. Marshall with a good cutback. And TaQuon Marshall to the edge towards the pylon. And he is in for a touchdown. TaQuon Marshall calling his own number.
That was a tremendous run. That is the quarterback counter. You'll see the 2 linemen pull in front of him, coming right at you there, and then he reads this perfectly with great vision. He sees that he's got guys coming from the opposite way, cuts back. I mean, that is fantastic vision. This is why this young man says he's a running back, and he has NFL aspirations, and he's playing quarterback to help the team. And you see on this look, maybe he didn't get in. Looks like that knee might have been out of bounds before the ball broke the plane.
Their angle wasn't necessarily right down the goal line. So, again,
that's their view.
Subjectivity. But TaQuon Marshall set it all up with some excellent decision-making, and then the dive to the pylon. His touchdown as Georgia Tech in front. TaQuon Marshall, 45-yard touchdown run. Replay booth determined that there was no indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, that there looked like he may have been out. Either way, guy who had a fantastic season last year running the football for Georgia Tech uses his legs to put the Yellow Jackets in front. We go right back to Terrence Horn, who's got a kick return for a touchdown already today. And there goes Terrence Horn again. Track speed. Down the sideline. He's done it again.
You have got to be kidding me.
Hey, special teams coaches, you might not want to kick to this guy. My goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Now, last time he went right, they tried to pin him to the corner on the right side, but there is nobody out there with his kind of speed. He got to the edge, and then it was lights out. I mean, again, you're talking about a sprint champ, a guy who has Olympic aspirations.
A 10-2-9 100-meter dash. An outstanding track career at Miramar in Florida. Had Pac-12 offers coming in. 2020 Olympic aspirations. Why not?
He is 5'7", 176 pounds, and nobody on that field can run with him. Nobody. How about that? 2 kick returns.
One for 98. That one cue for 97.
And Charlie Strong warned us. He told us about Horn and others. The one thing he said about his team, we can run. And you've seen that so far.
Q, the other thing Charlie said was it's important for South Florida to win this game. They don't play many Power 5 teams, and he actually wants to be in that discussion for the top group of 5 team, along with Central Florida, Boise State, that everybody talks about, and he thinks his team has elite speed.
We're a group of 5. We're not in the Power 5. So when you get a chance to play the Power 5, you have to play well because it opens up people's eyes. That's what Charlie Strong said about the importance of this game. Wanye Thomas has nowhere to go. Shut down by Nick Roberts. Over the top, Clinton Lynch. Who loves some points? Georgia Tech answers right back on the very next play. 81 yards.
You better strap yourself in. Oh, geez. Who says option teams can't throw the ball? They get you to fall asleep, and you see 22 Lynch sneaking out of the backfield. It's like, oh, I was looking for the option. No, Lynch right down the middle of the field. Marshall with a perfect throw has shown you his speed, his running ability, and now he shows you a little passing ability and his toughness.
Nico Sautel delivered the blow on Marshall. Handing out points in the opening 10+ minutes. So Terrence Horn is out. Georgia Tech is going to go with this squib kick. So I think what Charlie Strong was trying to do is say, hey, still, you got to kick it to us. Instead, hey, we'll take the field position because of the impact that Terrence Horn has made already.
Don't you love this? The fans are booing. You know, the star of the game is Horn. They want Horn out there. That is awesome.
And we have finally seen Blake Barnett. He hasn't been on the field in 8 minutes of game time. That's almost a half an hour in real time because his special teams unit, Terrence Horn in particular, has lit it up so far. Jordan Cronk with the run into Victor Alexander. Now, Cronkwright has to come off the field. He did not play last week due to an undisclosed minor injury, getting his South Florida debut today. He comes off the field, and Duran Bell checks in. Barnett incomplete, looking for Mitchell Wilcox, his tight end. 31 points on the board in what looks like a shootout in Tampa to start this day. How about the Bulls? No offensive points, just 2 possessions, yet 231 kickoff return yards. 195 of those coming from the freshman Terrence Horn. 31 points on the board through 1. We still got 3 more of these quarters, baby. What do we got in store?
That's what we're talking about. First quarter only.
Jordan Cronkwright back in the game for South Florida. Barnett out of the pocket with a shifty maneuver. Has the first down inside the Georgia Tech 40-yard line. Picks up 13, Q.
The arm talent is undeniable. The mobility there is a huge plus. The negatives about Blake Barnett have been his ability to read coverage.
Barnett showing off the mobility again. Close to the first down line. Picks up 9.
Now remember when he was out at Alabama, the knock was they were trying to move to a dual threat quarterback. Jalen Hurts took over his job, and Jalen Hurts was the ultimate dual threat in that sense until Tagovailoa came along. Right. And now he's the ultimate dual threat. But Blake can move a little bit, not like those guys, but he does have mobility.
Using the legs again, has the first down. We showed you the first career start for Barnett. That was back in September of 2016. Big stage for Alabama against USC after he was the #1 quarterback coming out of college.
Coming out of high school.
Oh, coming out of high school, beg your pardon. Pulled at halftime for Jalen Hurts. Ended up leaving the team at the end of the month. Darnell Solomon gets to the end zone. Barnett with another touchdown pass. First offensive points for the Bulls today.
Yards after the catch. I mean, that's just a little curl route to Solomon. We talked about the size of these receivers. He's 6'3", 215. They've got great speed. And he's just too quick for an inexperienced secondary back there.
Toby Weiss adds the extra point. Some folks in Tampa believe this might be the best group of receivers in South Florida history.
Well, there's no doubt about speed and yards after catch. And once again, we got ourselves another touchdown. We're just shooting it out here.
4 points. 38 points on the board. Wanye Thomas breaks a tackle and then gets pounded at the 25-yard line. Marshall looking deep, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Ronnie Hoggins. Marshall thrown into no man's land there.
Yeah, he just hung that one up there. Actually in between receivers, and it might have just gotten away from him, but this is not what we've seen from him today. He's thrown the ball pretty well. This one, you see him wipe his hand maybe it slipped out. Just before he threw that ball, he wiped his hand, and that ball looked like he lost it. He had no control over it at all.
Well, Hoggins moving from cornerback to that nickel spot to replace the all-conference Dietrich Nichols. Picks up his 6th career interception. South Florida still has a timeout and 13 seconds left. Georgia Tech will get the ball to start the second half. So let's see how aggressive they are here. Barnett's going to throw. He's got McCants. Did he get the first down? If he did, that would stop the clock to move the chains. Otherwise, South Florida would have to use that final timeout, which they may use anyway. And yeah, they're going to use that last timeout here.
Timeout. USF. Their 3rd and final. 30 seconds.
Well, they'll try to set it up for a potential shot here.
Well, you can take a shot here if you're South Florida.
Barnett will. He's got St. Felix out there, and it's incomplete. Caleb Oliver out there to knock it down for Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets will have it. When we return, the guys in the studio take over after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the American Conference on ABC. Power 5 on the road at Group of 5, and the South Florida Bulls have a 4-point lead on Georgia Tech. Yellow Jackets will get the ball to start the second half. Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick in Tampa. What a game, what a first half we had, and Blake Barnett started to get a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, a lot of attention on Blake Barnett because he's the former Alabama quarterback who's making his 3rd start today. And, you know, his first half, not bad. He's done as much with his legs as he has throwing the ball. You see 9 of 16, 83 yards and a pick and a TD and 32 rush yards. He's scrambled quite a bit. I do expect in the second half that we're going to see more opportunities for him to throw the ball deep down the field. He's got a big arm. We haven't seen a lot of that, just a couple of shots down the field today.
Player Spotlight brought to us by Discover Card. Wanye Thomas, 1 of 2 to return for Georgia Tech.
You know, partner, it's not getting any cooler out there.
No.
It's getting hotter.
From the 7-yard line. Thomas bounces to the outside and works past the 30. We got to look at our Pacific Life game summary. Boy, special teams is a factor for South Florida, huh?
Hey, if you weren't here, look at what you missed. Terrence Gordon Jr. did something that I've not seen in person before. Back-to-back kick sixes. Just amazing. And you're talking about a guy who's a sprint champ from the state of Florida, out of Miami. Showed you why. And not to be too much outdone, but it's hard to top that.
Yep.
Marshall, the option quarterback, shows you his skill simply as a running back.
And he starts this drive from the 31-yard line with the keep. And there he goes into Bulls territory.
Great blocking on the perimeter by the A-back Mason, and also a little help from Lynch. You'll see both of them just kick out and clear out. There's a huge hole there, Q, for Marshall to just basically walk through.
Yeah, moments ago, Paul Johnson told me, Adam, guys, that if USF continues to play them the way they are, that things will open up on the perimeter. He thought specifically it would be the pitch. That time it was a keeper by Marshall. Coach Johnson fairly happy with his offense. He thinks the perimeter's where the openings will be. Obviously, special teams were nightmare. And one thing, guys, I want to pass on, I've never felt that both teams wanted to get into halftime as much as they just did to take a break for the last 20 minutes. I thought both teams were toast prior to halftime.
Yeah, I believe it, Q. And as Rod said, it's only getting hotter. The humidity is still a major factor. There is Jordan Mason on the dive. Paul Johnson talked to us about something the other day about how important it is to understand this is an explosive offense for Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and South Florida is trying to deal with this explosive offense by crowding the inside A gaps to make sure there is no dive there. And that's what Quint was talking about in his conversation with Johnson about getting to the perimeter.
Well, TaQuon Marshall limping towards the sideline. So Tobias Oliver, who made his college football debut last week, is in to run the option. And Tobias Oliver's got the first down. Redshirt freshman out of Warner Robins, Georgia. And Marshall, a little bit of concern on the sideline.
It makes you wonder if this was the play with that right leg, lower right leg, looked like it got caught underneath him as he was tackled there. You know, we asked Johnson yesterday if there was a chance Oliver would play, and he said, I hope not. I don't want Marshall out of the game.
Right. The 2 plays for Oliver and 2 good runs. And another first down to the 16.
Now, Adam, what I would be thinking as a USF player is that guy's not going to pitch the ball now. Oliver has come in, he's cold, play for the dive, play for the quarterback, but don't expect the ball to be pitched. And right now, he simply carried the ball cue and has just gashed them.
He has talent, but he's inexperienced. He's known for his wheels. Pocket comfort would be an issue for this redshirt freshman.
Right there, no pitch. He kept it. Showing a little bit of muscle on his way to the 9-yard line.
That is the easiest play selection for him, Q, for Johnson to say, hey, nothing to worry about, nothing to read. Take the ball. It's a quarterback counter, quarterback sweep, go.
He got to play 3 possessions last week against Alcorn State, and he is their backup because Lucas Johnson had leg surgery. So here he is. You see the wheels and his ability to turn the corner.
Did not attempt to pass. 12 rushes for 72 yards last week. 2nd and 3. Just riding it, keeping it, but enough for the first down. Tyrone Barber made the stop, but Oliver works to the 5-yard line.
Well, this is going to be interesting now down here on 1st and goal. You should expect Charlie Strong to bring more pressure, to really attack inside and force Oliver to make decisions and to force him to pitch the ball. Now, how does Johnson counter that?
Oliver keeps it and has his first career touchdown to give Georgia Tech the lead.
Well, there's your counter. Get him to the outside. And the offensive line did a tremendous job. And then you got great blocks on the perimeter by Cottrell and Mason. Just look to the right side. Look at 31. That's Cottrell, good block. 24, Mason. Those backs made great perimeter blocks, but the offensive line sealed things off from the inside.
Brenton King on for the extra point. Picking up right where we left off. Lead change number 6. 6. And Tobias Oliver, key snaps for the injured Marshall. Career touchdown number 1. Jackets on top. Good job by Tobias Oliver stepping in for the injured TaQuon Marshall. Leads the touchdown drive, puts Georgia Tech in front. Terrence Horn is back there. Already 2 kickoff return touchdowns today. No player has ever had 3 in one game.
There's no way they're kicking.
I cannot imagine that Sean Davis is going to kick to him.
That's why no players ever had 3.
So once you get 2, they're like, all right, we're done. We're done. They're kicking. They're kicking, and Horn has it from the 5. Oh, stack him up. Just past the 25-yard line. Hey, man, you're in better shape than me. Blake Barnett back to work. Connects with McCants as we check in with Cassidy Hubbard.
Thanks, Adam. And now for the All-State Mayhem moment. Number 6, Oklahoma, taking on UCLA. Kyler Murray a 9-yard score. He's thrown for one. Now he's run for one. Sooners up 21-7 in the second. Back to you.
Cass, thanks so much. Blake Barnett hit by David Curry. Third down coming up.
You think that the front office of the Oakland A's cringes every time Kyler Murray takes a handoff?
Every single
snap.
time.
Yeah.
They are petrified.
Well, they invested almost $5 million in him. So
signing bonus for a first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft. As you see, TaQuon Marshall working his way out of the tent, still limping a little bit. McCants gets a nice block from St. Felix on the perimeter, springing him into Georgia Tech territory.
Remember we talked about the big receivers at South Florida?
Yep.
He may be the biggest of them all. About 6 feet tall, 240-pound senior. Yes, yards after the catch, because it's not easy to tackle a man that size, particularly for a small defensive back.
Barnett connects with St. Felix. Coming off the best freshman debut in South Florida history, Randall St. Felix with a couple of catches today.
Yeah, he really distinguished himself last week. Had a couple of catches over 40 yards and has quickly become Barnett's favorite target.
Jet sweep action with Horn. He's just getting greedy now. He's inside the 25.
Got to play the hot hand.
Yeah.
I do have a sense that Barnett is starting to get a little bit more comfortable, starting to warm up a little bit.
Sure.
You know, that last throw he made was perfect. Dropped over the head of one defender in front of another one.
There's Bell. Inside the 15, another first down for South Florida.
And Georgia Tech defensively playing a little bit soft in the sense that they're trying to keep the ball in front of them. I wonder if this hurry up, this up tempo is starting to have an impact on it.
There is Bell, straight up the gut. First career touchdown for Duran Bell. And the Bulls take the lead on the 7th lead change of the day.
You want to talk about a great block and control. Watch what the center does right here, Bennett. He just dominates the nose guard, and the pressure from the outside is a little bit late, and the whole inside opens up because they vacated with the linebackers for the pressure. But that block opened up everything.
(28-24). 7 lead changes. 7. We're having fun, I promise. It has been a wild one so far today. Duran Bell with the last touchdown for South Florida to give them the lead. Wanye Thomas taken down at the 25-yard line. TaQuon Marshall moving a little bit better after he had to exit the last series.
Yeah, he went out after this run. Lower left leg appears to be the issue. You see him limping off. And then Oliver came in. No change. They kept running the quarterback on design plays. Got rid of the option on that drive. And Oliver got his first collegiate touchdown.
And Marshall still on the sideline. Tobias Oliver starts this Georgia Tech series from the 25. And again, Q, it is Oliver keeping it.
Yeah, Marshall's fully taped now. He's got his helmet back on, but he's not walking 100%. You see a little giddy up in his walk. This is a position at Georgia Tech where the quarterback is basically a running back, and they have to rehab like running backs, all while prepping like quarterbacks. So there's a lot of hits, and you need at least 2 good quarterbacks when you're running this system.
Still yet to pitch, and Oliver has the first down.
Well, you know about this system. You know what Coach Boone used to say.
Oh, yes. Give me a little remember the Titans.
Oh, it is just, I run the veer option. It's just like Novocaine. Give it a little bit of time. It always works. So change your quarterback. It is still the option. You know, you're too young to be a fan of Remember the Titans.
Oh, come on. That's it. That was in my formative years as a football fan. There's the first pitch from Oliver. He gives it to Quay Searcy. And a great run for Searcy, the senior. 27 yards into Bulls territory.
Well, you don't get big plays like that in the option game without great blocking on the perimeter. And just look out there. You got Cottrell again, 31 with a great block, and then another block by Camp, number 80. We get a kick out here, we get a seal there, and there's a huge hole, and Searcy finds it.
This is Cottrell. It's a Clinton Lynch cut block out on the perimeter. Picks up 8 yards. So right now, TaQuon Marshall out of the game. Georgia Tech still moving the ball. Last season, TaQuon Marshall at quarterback, Kervonte Benson at B-back. That's what they combined for. Both of them are currently out of this game. And then you have Jahazel Lee, the center, getting rolled up on. He's actually the second string center. Now they've got their third stringer, Scott Morgan, in at center. Tobias Oliver on the move, picks up the first down. Kenny Cooper is expected to be the starting center this year, but he's dealing with a foot injury. He's hoping to be back next week. They were hoping he'd be back this week. Not the case. Jahazel Lee has been the center the last 2 weeks, currently on the sideline.
Well, if you are a Georgia Tech fan and Paul Johnson, your concern becomes handling the football. You basically have your backup unit in there, snapping, pitching, and the like in the option, and that's an issue. That's a concern.
There's a pitch to Jordan Mason. And Mason has the first down. That's your backup B-back, the redshirt freshman who got some good time last week. Benson was suspended for the opening quarter, so Mason started last week.
Yeah, the only benefit I would say is when you have your backups in, they have practiced together.
Yes.
You're not inserting another piece with the first unit. These guys have spent a lot of time together, and you're probably fine with that. Lee is now back in the ball game at center for Georgia Tech.
First and goal for the Yellow Jackets. Oliver getting to the outside and run out of bounds. Ronnie Hoggins rode him out. Second and goal.
How about the job Oliver has done? Again, not expected to play. Steps in. His first drive, great drive, got a touchdown. He's handled the football well. I mean, one of the things about the option is that there's a tendency to fumble the ball, put it on the ground, whether it's in the option game earlier or the pitch. They've taken care of the football today.
Oliver keeping, and he's ripped down by Nico Sautel. Oliver frustrated, may have had the pitch opportunity there, and now it's third and goal.
Well, Sautel made a great play.
Yep.
Oliver thought he had the end zone, and Sautel, coming from the middle of the field, was able to chase him down. That's a tremendous play.
Replacing Augie Sanchez, the all-time tackles leader in South Florida history.
If there is anything other than the quarterback keeping the ball, I'll be surprised. This is clearly two-down territory for Paul Johnson.
Oliver keeps it, and he's in for a touchdown. Lead change number 8 in this game.
Low man wins on the goal line. And that entire offensive line, down on all fours, crawling, grabbing, getting at knees, and creating a new line of scrimmage, an easy place for Oliver to jump over and get into the end zone. His second touchdown of the day, second of his career.
Brenton King Makes it a 3-point game. Tobias Oliver off the bench and into the end zone again. Watch this offensive line getting low. Flattening the D line. That's Georgia Tech football. They've got the lead back. Terrence Horns back there again. And this time it's a touchback.
Sterling Gilbert is the offensive coordinator for South Florida. Learned this offense from Art Briles at Baylor.
Oh, he had McCants open. A little bit of a clutch. McCants ended up stopping the route, and it ends up bringing third down up.
Well, and in a nutshell, that's this offense. The wide throws, the screen passes, and then you take your shots down the field. You mix in a little bit of a power running game, and that's the scope of the offense that Sterling Gilbert is running here.
Beg your pardon, second down. I apologize. Georgia Tech rushing 4, but it forces Barnett to run. Something that Nate Woody, the defensive coordinator in his first year at Tech, talked to us about was rushing just 4, but not knowing where the 4 is going to come from, and that forces the quarterback to have to make quicker decisions.
Yeah, but I think that works to Georgia Tech's advantage. I don't think that you really want to have Barnett running as much as he's been running today, and I think Charlie Strong spoke to that at halftime. They want him in the pocket throwing the football.
Third down and 5. Blitz from Georgia Tech. They set it up underneath for Cronkright, and he's short. Good pursuit by Jaquan Henderson, the sophomore. Trent Schneider punting away. A line drive to Brad Stewart. And Stewart with a solid return across the 25-yard line. Who had to pitch it that time with pressure. Got it to Jordan Mason. Breaks a tackle from Sawtell. And Jordan Mason with an excellent run. All the way down inside the 30-yard line of South Florida.
Adam, the perimeter blocking is just fantastic all day long. But watch number 1, Searcy. Watch him here. That is a tremendous block. That opens up a huge lane, and then it's really just a matter of some speed and toughness by Ponchez Mason. Almost taking it to the house.
Searcy, the veteran, opening it up for Mason, the youngster. Longest run of his career at 46. Oliver keeps it. Works his way to the 22-yard line. Tobias Oliver, redshirt freshman, a 3-star recruit out of high school. The lone quarterback of last year's Georgia Tech class. There's Makai LaPointe, the redshirt freshman. He's a little slow to get up. Heat, humidity, a couple of hard-hitting defenses. And speaking of which, there is Kervonte Benson. That's the all-ACC B-back. The second leading returning rusher behind Marshall from last year's team, who got that hard hit against him down low early in this game, limped off the field, and is back out in street clothes.
Well, the good news is that he's actually standing and, you know, doesn't have that leg propped up. The bad news is he's out of uniform.
Yeah. So they'll lean on Mason and Howard at the B-back spot. A block out there by Howard to set it up for Oliver. First and goal, Georgia Tech.
Again, the perimeter blocking is amazing. They have committed to getting to the edge, and you'll see it again here. You get Cottrell with a great block, Searcy with a great block. A couple of great blocks, Q, to get you to the edge.
South Florida is just out there in body right now. They are tapped out. Georgia Tech has not thrown the ball once in the second half. They know it's coming. yet they can't stop it. I don't think they want any more part of this option.
Oliver hit hard. Ronnie Hoggins.
Well, Q, nobody wants any part of the option at any time, and it can only be really frustrating and demoralizing when you are really zapped by the heat and the humidity. I mean, you're fighting off people at your knees. You're trying to get in to tackle somebody who's running hard. It's not a lot of fun.
Hoggins trying to get this crowd amped up on 2nd and goal. Oliver to the edge, towards the pylon, and he is just short as Hoggins saved the touchdown to close the 3rd. Whew. Don't go anywhere. We've had a fun one so far today. 31-28. Georgia Tech on the doorstep when you come back. College football returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. 59 points, nearly 500 combined rushing yards, over 300 yards on kick returns, 8 lead changes, 3rd and goal, Georgia Tech on the doorstep to start quarter 4. Tobias Oliver trying to muscle ahead, waiting for a signal. It is short. 4th and goal coming up.
4th and goal would mean Paul Johnson's going to go for this. Checking again. Any chance the ball broke the plane? No way to determine there. And Oliver looks like he's short from that back when he gets pushed by Stewart. But you know what? The way that line gets low and fires out, Johnson's got to be thinking we're going to go right back at it, and we're going to let Oliver keep the ball. But this time a little further outside, not quite straight up the middle.
Exactly. Touchdown Tobias Oliver. The backup punches it home again.
Yeah, just a little lead play directly to the right side of the center. Again, moving away from that straight up the middle and just getting a little bit outside further. And you basically allow Oliver to walk in. Now look at the great block on the right side they get by that offensive line. Oliver really just gets in behind Marshall, number 50, and it's an easy touchdown.
Just that little extra step towards the outside like you called, Rod. Brenton King gives Georgia Tech a 10-point lead. This is the first time today either team has led by more than 4 points. Game.
Well, now the pressure goes back over to South Florida and to their quarterback, Blake Barnett.
The run up by Terrence Horn.
He knocked his top off.
Had a helmet flying off for one of the South Florida Bulls. Barnett slings it out for Solomon. Near the sticks. Blake Barnett, one of the highly touted quarterbacks out of high school, was on that ESPN 300 list with, guess who's at number 10 on the dual threat side? Kelly Bryant, one of those 2 quarterbacks for Clemson. Quick strike over the middle, and he's got Wilcox for the first down.
Just a pop pass to his tight end Wilcox, lined up on the right side, and a little play action fake and dumped it right in there. Now the offense is rolling.
Duran Bell, good run to the 25-yard line. Blake Barnett, 22 years of age, announced as the starter just 10 days ago, trying to lead a crucial series with the Bulls down by 10. South Florida has 2nd down and 3 at the Georgia Tech 25-yard line, down by 10 in what's been a wild game so far. Duran Bell makes the cut for the first down. Another youngster, redshirt freshman in his college debut today. Rock solid.
You were telling us about Blake Barnett, and he's handling the running game very well down here.
He's had to make those decisions as Serge Henderson makes the stop. This is the first real test for Blake Barnett as Bell is slow to get up.
This is his third start since coming out of high school and being the Alabama starter and losing his job to Jalen Hurts.
Back in Tampa, David Curry has been ejected from this game for targeting. He lowered the head right at the end of the play. Forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. First and goal for South Florida. Terrence Horn, the freshman, run out of bounds by Johnny Kerr. Second and goal. Wild sequence a moment ago, and unfortunately for Georgia Tech, their leading weak side linebacker is out.
Well, and Curry actually had a choice. I mean, the ball carrier was in the grasp, and he took a shot at him.
Quick throw to the outside for Horn. Touchdown, Terrence Horn. How about this from the freshman? His third score of the day. Two on kick returns, and that one slipping tackles for number 3.
Oh, he broke a tackle, slipped the tackle, and he's not like the other receivers. He's not a big guy. He's 176 pounds. Now watch him. Slips that tackle. And he's too quick and too fast. We saw that on the kick returns. But slipping that tackle and getting the yards after contact, wow.
Kobe Weiss gets South Florida back within 3. Get a helmet sticker ready for this young man. What a job by Terrence Horn in his second career college football game. 283 all-purpose yards and 3 total touchdowns.
And remember, Charlie Strong believes this team should be talked about in the same breath with Boise State and Central Florida as possibly the best group of 5 team.
Wanye Thomas gets to the outside. And a great return after he bobbled it all the way back at the goal line. He churns out an excellent return. Georgia Tech ball at its own 39. And Tobias Oliver gets 2 yards. If you're just joining us, TaQuon Marshall, the starting quarterback and leading rusher from last season for Georgia Tech, injured on the opening play of the 3rd quarter. Tobias Oliver, in his second career college football game, has led 3 straight touchdown drives.
And they haven't had to throw it. And they really haven't had to take risks with the option and pitching the ball.
Here's the pitch. Not much room for Jordan Mason. The Bulls strung that out wide.
A different philosophy for the Bulls this series. They started bringing their safeties a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage and focusing on the quarterback. And now they've created a 3rd down and long situation.
3rd down coming up for Georgia Tech, and TaQuon Marshall is back in the game at quarterback for the first time since the opening play of the 3rd.
Do you let him throw it in this situation? I personally would not feel that confident because he's been on the sideline so long. I'd be more inclined to see them run a counter tray or something to get to the perimeter, but not really just to let him sit back and throw it.
He's going to throw. Has a man. First down, Clinton Lynch. This time it's Marshall cold off the bench and moving the chains.
Terrific play call. Lynch kind of pulled the okie dokies right here, and they don't pay any attention to him. He just sneaks out, and Marshall's looking for him all the way. That is a very well-designed play.
Clinton Lynch, the redshirt senior, stepping up. And they're doing that right now with a 3-point lead.
So you have to understand your defense and understand your depth. And if you recognize that you don't have a lot of depth and you don't want your defense to play 80 snaps, you try and consume the clock. Georgia Tech does it. Stanford does it. Some other teams do it. So they don't go up tempo because they know it will hurt their defense. If your frontline starters can play 50 plays, but you got to deal with 80, your backups may not be able to play 30. So you've got a problem. So Johnson has thought slowing down the pace works for his defense, and his offense is fine with it.
South Florida ran 84 plays last week. They've ran 60 today. Not much room up the middle that time. Josh Black stops Jordan Mason. 3rd down and 3 coming up.
Marshall does not look to me like he's confident running the football, particularly to the edge. They've protected him so far here in this drive since he's come back in. I don't see the same aggressiveness out of him in attacking the perimeter. Now, will they trust him? Is that ankle good enough for him to go to the edge?
Let's find out. 3rd and 3. Toss play. Searcy lost the football. South Florida's got it. Nico Saltel on top of it.
That is the first time Georgia Tech has put the ball on the ground, and it was just lost by Searcy. Got to carry that football high and tight. It got poked out. Sautel right there to recover it. And Searcy having a heck of a ball game, great blocking, and this is the first time he's actually had a mistake in this game.
A crucial mistake by the senior. Now Blake Barnett and the Bulls take over. And Jordan Cronkrite with a good run. The Florida Gator transfer in his first game with the Bulls picks up 11 yards there.
Guys, I'm interested to see how Blake Barnett now, staring at a 3-point deficit, less than half a quarter to go. Big home start, really the signature start of his career, how he just manages this game.
Hand off to Cronkrite. Good job by Georgia Tech spilling that ball outside. Jalen Johnson on the stop. Remember, September 2016, #1 quarterback out of high school, playing for the Alabama Crimson Tide up against USC. Big national TV game. That was the first time Blake Barnett took a snap in a college uniform. 2 years and 3 schools later, trying to lead a go-ahead drive for South Florida. And he's got the first down with his legs out near the 40-yard line.
One of his strong traits, quick thinking. He recognizes right away that there is nothing in front of him. No need to hesitate. He gets that first down and gets out of bounds.
To the outside, incomplete for St. Felix. Charlie Strong told us a great story about Blake Barnett yesterday. He went to dinner with Blake, his wife Maddie, and Blake's new son Brooks. Blake, here's what's been said about you. Talking about quitting on your team at Alabama, quitting on your team at Arizona State, not wanting to compete. Whatever everybody has said about Blake Barnett over the course of the last 2 years since he decided to transfer from Alabama, Blake addressed that candidly. He finds Tyree McCants for a first down into Georgia Tech territory. Charlie Strong said Blake looked him in the eye and said, I just want to prove myself. Don't hand me the starting job. Just be honest with me in terms of where I'm at. He had the best presence of the 3 quarterbacks that competed for the job. Charlie Strong polled every member of the defensive coaching staff first, and Blake Barnett was their choice. And he is the choice for the Bulls this season.
Well, Charlie Strong was skeptical as you see Barnett pick up more yardage here. I mean, he'd heard the stories, and he said, look, I'm going to bring him in because we need another quarterback. We need another body. Whether or not he wins the job, I don't care. We still need another body.
Straight up the middle, Sands. Close to the sticks.
And I think the maturity that we've gotten out of Blake Barnett with him saying, hey, that stuff may be all true. I've matured now. I'm still chasing my dream, but I want to play and I want to be a good teammate.
Barnett looking for his teammate. Solomon broken up. Excellent job by one of those young defensive backs, Johnny Kerr.
Kerr does a great job of finding the ball at the last minute. When you play that spot, Adam, when that receiver looks back for the ball, you look back and find it. He gets that left hand up there and knocks it out. That's a good play. That's a very good play. Fans don't like it, but that is a good, solid play. Remember, pass interference is not contact. It really is a matter of impeding a receiver's ability to catch the ball.
Adam Amin, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick. Fun one. 5:41 left. Second down for Barnett and the Bulls. Tunnel screen. Tyree McCants. Big boy towards the red zone. First down for South Florida.
240 pounds of big boy from a wide receiver spot. And he can run with the ball after he catches it. We saw him drag folks into the end zone last year against Central Florida.
Barnett keeps. Has it Ollie. Bulls take the lead. Blake Barnett puts him in front.
A good fake. No run support to that side, and Barnett took complete advantage of it. Who says he's not that mobile?
He has shown it off today with 86 rushing yards. Charlie Strong said he had the best presence of any of the quarterbacks that were competing for the job. Poise, presence, and a Bulls lead for Blake Barnett. Lead change number 9. An impressive series led by Blake Barnett to put South Florida back in front after they trailed by 10. South Florida has scored 14 unanswered. 5 minutes left, and Georgia Tech's getting the ball back. And they'll have it at the 25. But this is where Georgia Tech likes to be. The flex bone spread option with 5 minutes on the clock. And TaQuon Marshall at the controls. Searcy. Excellent decision by Marshall. And Searcy takes it across the 40.
How about the decision by Searcy? 2 hands wrapping up the football as he had contact, since he fumbled the last time he touched the football.
That fumble in South Florida territory when they were in the red zone. The Bulls marched down the field and took the lead on the ensuing drive.
Remember, this is a very tired defense out there for South Florida.
Oh, that's a dangerous pitch. That ball was loose. It was a forward pitch, according to the official, so it will go down as an incomplete pass.
Well, South Florida brought pressure this time, and it worked. They had the quarterback, they had the dive, and then at the very last second, a left-handed pitch by Marshall, which was actually an incomplete pass.
That was just the second official pass in the entire second half. Second down. Marshall looking to pass. Flag thrown as he rifles one to Jalen Camp past the sticks. But let's check the marker back at the 40-yard line.
Yeah, beautiful throw, beautiful catch, but that looks like that flag is in the area where holding is called.
Offense, number 70, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Will Bryan on the holding penalty. That negates that first down catch. It'll be 2nd and 20. This is a little bit of a flip from last year. Georgia Tech was the 4th fewest penalized team in the country. South Florida was the 2nd most penalized team in the country. That was last season.
Well, if you're Paul Johnson, do you go back to the air? Or do you think you can pick up enough here with your option?
Marshall under pressure, slings to the sideline. South Florida wants an intentional grounding penalty. Nathan Cottrell looked like he might be in the area.
Exactly.
Though.
The fact that Cottrell was over there saved Georgia Tech from a penalty.
And that's the explanation I would imagine Charlie Strong is getting here.
31
pressure.
Yeah, 31 Cottrell in the area.
Yep. You saw that white jersey in the field of play right at the end. 3rd down and 20 with under 4 to play.
Well, if you're thinking about whether you can deal with this on 4th down, you got to get around 10 yards here. If you can get 10 yards or so in your Georgia Tech, then you can actually contemplate whether you go on 4th down or you punt.
That ball fluttering, intercepted. Nico Saltel with another big play for the Bulls defense. Second interception of the day for TaQuon Marshall.
Adam, I thought it was Livingstone who tipped that ball at the line of scrimmage. You'll see him coming around. Yep, and he got there just in time to put enough pressure on Marshall to force that ball up in the air. He gets that throwing arm just enough to cause the interception.
Kirk Livingstone stepping into a major role after they lost Deidrin Senat and Mike Love and Bruce Hector to the NFL. Still plenty of time remaining in this game, but Georgia Tech absolutely needs a stop. A field goal doesn't hurt you here either.
Well, I would also think that South Florida would start to slow down their tempo.
Right.
There's no reason for them to go hurry up right now.
Now they're all rushing to the line of scrimmage, and Charlie Strong, Sterling Gilbert said, hey.
Well, yeah, Blake Barnett was out there saying, give me the play, let's go, let's go. And Sterling Gilbert's like, wait a minute, relax.
On the ground, Cronkite. Georgia Tech still has its full complement of timeouts.
Time to use one.
Yep.
Georgia Tech, 30 seconds.
They'll use it right here. 3:05 to play. 3rd and 3. Cronkite trying to fight for the yardage, and he gets stopped. So 4th down coming up now for South Florida. They're in field goal range, but remember, their normal kicker, Jake Vivanetto, fell ill yesterday. There was already some issues for Charlie Strong in the fall camp time, along with even going back to the spring to replace Emilio Nadelman. Just another great kicker in the long line of pretty good ones that South Florida has had. So this is much more of a question than it typically would be for Charlie Strong today.
Well, yeah, the coaching book would say, hey, you know, go kick this thing.
Go up 7 points, go up a full touchdown.
Right. But if you don't have any confidence because you've lost your starter and you've got a backup kicker now it becomes an issue. And you very well, if you're Charlie Strong, you could look at this and say, I think we can get a yard. We've been working these guys in the second half, and if we get a yard, ball game is over.
Georgia Tech just used its last timeout. And it looks like that offense is staying out on the field.
Yeah, that clearly tells you Charlie Strong has more confidence in their ability to get this yard than to put the game in the hands of his backup kicker.
4th down and 1. Barnett throws to McCants on the screen, and he's got the first down. Game's not mathematically over just yet, but that was very big for South Florida to try to salt this one away. And now you're in absolutely no hurry if you're South Florida.
None whatsoever.
We'll milk this all the way down to about 220. Barnett. Exclamation point, Blake Barnett.
Who knew that Blake Barnett's legs would be a bigger story than his arm today?
That's a moment Blake Barnett's going to remember.
How happy must he be?
4 touchdowns total a week ago. 4 more in week 2. Look at that smile on his face. It's only 1 game. It's only week 2. There's a long way to go this season. But relief, appreciation, gratitude, I imagine, is on the top of mind right now for Blake Barnett, too.
The smile resonates most strongly down here on the field. And now the ability to develop with his teammates. You know, he says everything's still new. But I tell you, that smile and feeling good about yourself has been a long time coming for this man. It's been a long and winding road as he spends time spreading the love amongst his teammates. And who would have guessed that it'd be his rushing ability in the 4th quarter really to make the difference in this game?
Yeah, the Bulls were trailing 38-28 with 12 minutes left. They've outscored Georgia Tech 21-0 since. Wanye Thomas with a solid return. Marshall will throw. Good break on the ball by Mike Hampton against Brad Stewart. Hampton, South Florida's best cover corner. Had a pick last week.
Not a whole lot of choice for Marshall and company. Now they've got to throw. Keep in mind, we talked earlier about the wide open Coastal Division. You know, a loss here to Georgia Tech does not eliminate them from anything in the Coastal Division.
Absolutely. Marshall under pressure, looking for Searcy, and looks like he's got it in South Florida territory. Remember, this is a South Florida team that last year finished the season number 21 in the AP rankings. They earned a lot of respect. They had a great quarterback in Quinton Flowers. Lost some guys off the defense that went to the NFL. But Charlie Strong said, this is one of our few opportunities early in the year to make people see what we're about. And to do this, still a minute 40 left, this is going to go a long way into really earning some respect around the country for South Florida.
Well, remember, the top group of 5 team will likely, if ranked appropriately, will play on New Year's Day. And most folks have been talking about Boise State or projecting Central Florida. South Florida is still in that discussion.
Underneath, Cottrell, first down to put this game away. South Florida, by the way, doesn't win the American Conference with this win. They've still got a long season to go. Georgia Tech doesn't lose the Coastal because they lost today. A long year to go. But this is something Georgia Tech, they're going to have to be better on the road this season if they want to win the division.
Yeah, they've had this problem. Today they had an opportunity, but clearly the weather, the heat, and the injuries hurt them. And those turnovers in the 4th quarter, backbreakers.
Incomplete. This is one of those plays that you were talking about, Rod. Key moment in this game. This is with South Florida trailing by 3. Quay Searcy lost the ball, Sawtell on top of it, and the ensuing drive, Blake Barnett led for the go-ahead touchdown.
Yeah, you're going in for a score to really give yourself a 2-possession lead, and Searcy, who was having a great game, put the ball on the ground.
The Yellow Jackets have to go to Pitt next week to open up ACC play. They'll host Clemson in Atlanta, but they have to go to Louisville on a Friday night, short week, and they have to go to Virginia Tech on a Thursday night, very short week. Keep that in mind when Georgia Tech goes back on the road. Crucial games this year.
Well, Paul Johnson has to be concerned about the health of his skilled players after losing guys today. Whether he gets them back in a hurry, we don't know. Marshall's come back in the ball game, but he hasn't been the same as he was before he injured his leg.
Wrapped up by Black and brought down. 4th down. What a wild, fun, awesome game this was.
Started early on, continue. It has really delivered the fireworks we thought we might get.
Yep. Marshall has a man in Malachi Carter, freshman out of Lawrenceville, Georgia, as the first down. 48 seconds left. Camp short of the sticks.
Now the only shot Georgia Tech has, and it's a remote one, you got to throw it to the end zone, get that score right away, and then do the onside kick.
Marshall launches for Stewart in the end zone. Good coverage by Hampton. 3rd down and 2 coming up.
Yeah, no real choice here. You got to go right back and try and get that touchdown pass with some time on the clock so you can at least try the onside kick and give yourself a shot at a Hail Mary, because you probably won't have enough time to get in field goal position.
Yeah, a lot of things are going to have to go right.
Yeah,
These next couple of snaps.
I mean, they really have to score on this play to have a shot at anything, any kind of a miracle.
Marshall, down he goes, and that's going to do it. We're going to get this last snap off. Marshall will throw to the end zone for Stewart. Pass interference penalty may be coming on Hampton, so we'll have one untimed down. Weren't sure if we were going to get that last play off there.
Well, that is the second pass interference call for him on this drive.
Foul occurred in the end zone by rule. The ball is placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down. The game will be extended for one untimed down.
It'll be 1st and goal here. Georgia Tech with an opportunity to run one more play. Crowd wants to stop. They're still chanting for him. The Bulls defense ends this game with a stop and a little bit of respect on the name of the South Florida Bulls after a win over Georgia Tech. Led by Blake Barnett, 49-38. South Florida wins it.